I'm so pleased to welcome Marc Karschies, CCXP, to CXPA Connections. Marc is with KCA Consultants based in Dubai. Marc, thank you so much for joining us today to talk a little bit about the work that you have done and the team has done in creating the CX strategy section of CXPA's Book of Knowledge First Edition.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me on this one. And you're right, it was definitely a great experience. I mean, the caliber of the people joining in, the diversity, the different types of backgrounds, the different types of approaches to CX were just amazing. And to really bring all this together and having the different perceptions, the different ways of thinking about strategy, and mixing it up with like practitioners as well as consultants and from different industries and so on was just an absolute brilliant experience. I think we all learned a lot from each other, and we're still in contact with many of them. So it was definitely a great experience to come together there. So thank you very much for CXPA to putting this together.
Absolutely, and I think you've hit the nail on the head in terms of the diversity of thought and perspective to produce such a consensus-based research and really bring value to the CX community. So I would love to get your perspective because, again, you helped author the section on CX strategy. So what is a key piece of advice that you feel like CX leaders, should walk away with in terms of creating or refining their organizational CX strategy?
Yeah, and I think CX strategy is like one of those topics. Everyone talks about CX strategy. Everyone wants to do it. Everyone claims they're doing it. But in reality, a lot is just alignment with kind of like using big words or big projects, or that they have like a long-lasting program behind it. But I think the essence, what we really addressed inside our section, was that strategy in itself is really a long-term thinking. So that's number one. And I think the most important part coming out, that corporate strategy comes first, and then CX strategy is supporting the corporate strategy with the identification of the target experience, with the target users, and then finding ways how to engage with those users and customers to bring them in aligned with the corporate strategy. And I think that was one of the big differences of this section to what we see very often on LinkedIn or on other media or on other providers, kind of like bringing this into this market. So that was definitely one big learning. The second one, and you asked for what is like probably my favorite section inside the CX strategy, is the core around value. That CX is not for CX sake or because we're good people, but there needs to be value generated. There needs to be generally something that makes sense of why we do CX and being able to articulate that. And you can call it the return on investment or however you want to do it. But in the CX strategy bit, we have this one definition out there that actually says value equals benefit minus cost. So in other words, we need to be able to generate more benefit for the stakeholders involved than the cost in any shape or form, not only financial cost, but also time, effort, what we take away from potentially other beneficial projects and so on, and really bring that together. And I think that's such a brilliant concept to really reevaluate what we're doing on a daily basis in the CX community, but also in a corporate or in a nonprofit environment. Is the effort that we're putting together really making sense? Are we making the world truly a better place? And are we aligned with the goals that we're supposed to achieve? I mean, in a corporate environment, that's obviously very often financial benefits that need to be done. So it goes against the return on investment. But we also speak about like the triple bottom line, like different ways of articulating goals or accomplishments that are supposed to be done on a strategic level, where CX then can actually help on that. So I think that is my favorite part in this section.
Yeah, absolutely. Great point, Marc. Would love your perspective also on how you see CX professionals using this book, and particularly this section. I mean, is this something that someone should ideally sit down to read, as they've just been hired into a role and they're sort of tasked with creating a CX strategy? Is it something that they should use, in more of an ad hoc way? How do you see CX professionals using this material?
Yeah. So one thing that I very often see is that CX professionals are coming out of a practitioner background. So they come from marketing, they come from operation, quality management, from all walks of life. But very rarely do CX professionals come from a strategy or a really business leadership background down, kind of like down or over into the CX profession. So that means that when corporate strategy or the direction of the organization is being defined, CX is not having a seat at the table. And I see that over and over again among the practitioners. We always complain that we are not invited to make the decisions and only afterwards being told, okay, here's the strategy, now make it happen. But I think this section specifically allows to gain an understanding and to learn the vocabulary and to understand a little bit more about how strategy is actually being done. And if you know what those terminologies are, what those frameworks are, what those approaches are, you can join that conversation much earlier and hopefully then gain a seat at the table when the direction of the organization is being done, where we should be. So I do believe that this section provides a lot of fundamentals. So it's a more, I don't want to say textbook style, but it provides more information around what tools and techniques and frameworks are there so that people understand what is CX strategy or how does CX strategy tie into the overall corporate strategy, and then being able to seek those communications and those interactions with the people that drive the overall organization and therefore gain more influence on it. So this is definitely not a case study one where we say, oh, this organization did it well, but it's more providing a little bit fundamentals, understanding and basics behind it that I feel all too often CX professionals still lack.
Marc Karschies, CCXP, thank you so much for sharing not just your perspective on this book and this work today, but for the countless hours that you and the other members of the author team, the peer reviewers, the editors, all individuals took to make sure that this quality publication happened. Just as a reminder, you can CXPA members can read the Book of Knowledge for free at cxbookstore.com. Marc, thank you so much for joining us today for CXPA
Anytime.
Connections.
Thank you so very much. All the best.